Hello and welcome to another episode of I Am a Christian podcast. Since the dawn of the Age of Enlightenment, the nature of marriage and roles of the individuals involved in it has been redefined countless times, and with each redefinition, new difficulties arise. About 50% of marriages since the 1950s have ended in divorce. More are not thriving the way they ought to, but others are succeeding at it. Proverbs 14 verse 1 says, "A wise woman builds her home, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands." The question is this: is the success or failure of marriage primarily the responsibility of the woman? If yes, what should a woman do to prepare herself before marriage? How can she manage her home when she is married and herself after marriage? Say her husband dies when she is young or even at old age. To explore these issues today, I have as a guest a trained behavioral therapist who is also a pastor and my mum. She has been a wife and mother for many years, and together we'll be looking at the meaning of the scripture in Proverbs 14 verse 1 from a woman's perspective. And we'll be looking at expectations of a woman as a mother, as a wife, as being part of this relationship. We'll be looking at the reality of things and also how to balance all of these things. We would also look at the environment one finds herself in and the cultural beliefs and the biblical teachings. How can we balance, especially for someone who is a Christian, how can we balance all of these things? So good evening and welcome to the show tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to speak either as a woman or as a pastor or as a mother, just to encourage others. I really appreciate it. I'm not taking the opportunity for granted. And I thank God that at this moment, women are becoming more and more important to the society. Why do I have to say this? Because the question before me is taken from the book of Proverbs, as we have read, that a good woman will build her house, and the one who is not really because it's not good, but because it's not wise enough to understand what to do, can simply use her hand to pull it down. If I want to look at it, first of all, from a different translations perspective, like I'm reading from Passion Bible. It says, "Every wise woman encourages and builds up her family, but a foolish woman over time will tear it down by her own actions." By the actions she put up. So the first approach here is, who is a woman? A woman, the life of a woman does not begin from when she gets into a husband's house. It starts from the nurture she receives whilst growing up with the family. So the way she grows up determines whom she is or whom she will be. For example, I will look at a woman from the age of 10, because at that point, she knows what house chores look like, what should be done at home, how it should be done. And if the mother is able to teach her what the responsibility of a young woman should look like, at that point, she will no longer begin to ask questions about how do I do this, because she would have already been learning from age 10. The life of a woman actually begins from the age 10, because at that point, she can, while we were growing up, we didn't really have the opportunity of getting water from the kitchen, from the tap. We have to go to some streams to get water early in the morning or late at night. So a young girl, or we can call her now a young woman from that age, who knows that if there is no water at home, it's my responsibility. Because at that point, she's not nurturing anyone else. She's teaching herself what to do when she gets older and what to do when she becomes a mother as well. Because those things she is supposed to learn them from her mother. And come to think about it, some people, some children, some young women grow up even without mothers.
Yep.
Supposing that girl was born and the mother suddenly died and she's growing up, maybe other family members really didn't look after her. She's just growing as a person. If she is going to have a good report in the future, she on her own will have to, at that whatever age, will have to choose what is right to do. There are some young women who grew up like that without anyone teaching them what to do. And whereas there are some who were actually taught as young women, they choose not to learn. They choose not to do the right thing. So we'll get there. I know you haven't asked that question, but I will say a woman is the one who knows, who grows herself up to the level of knowing and understanding what is right to do and do it without any sentiment or without, for no reason at all, but just to teach herself how to be a good young woman.
Yes. Okay. Something I wanted to pick on before I go into some other question. It's the bit about self-learning, because when in my introduction I mentioned about the environment someone finds themselves in. With self-learning, for example, a young lady who does not have a mother, is it possible that they look around and see how other young women behave themselves in the environment, and that shapes how they learn, how they do things?
Yes, majority, I would say, yes, majority of people like that learn from the environment. That is why it is pathetic that some people just learn the bad side of everything rather than questioning themselves to find out whether those things they are seeing in the environment will help them personally right now or in the future. And so many mistakes have been made because there is no guide, no one to guide such women. So majority of those who have done the wrong thing actually got them from the environment. But I think for any young woman who knows, because even a child from age 5 knows what is good from what is bad. And because we all, instinct makes it happen, because we all know these things, a young woman at the age of 10 should know, if I do this, there's nobody, if I have to fall into error, there's nobody that will help me out. Should be able to caution herself and teaching herself that to evaluate things the way they are before they accept it or drop it. But today, I think what is actually happening is that everybody, including young women, they just want to do things without asking questions, without checking whether that will be in their favor or it will work against them. So for the one who doesn't have anyone at all to guide them, most of the time, there is what is called inner instinct, inner questionnaire that God places in the heart of everyone, including young women. Like the one who doesn't have a guide, there are situations when they will tell themselves, I have no one to rely on. I have to do what is best for myself, what is right for myself. I have seen a few of such young women who their parents deserted them, and rather than becoming a nuisance in the streets, they choose, I cannot be like my mother. I can't behave the way my parents behave. I have to make life better for myself. So even though the environment is exposing so many young people into error, they still have the opportunity to think. But some of them will not want to think. They just want to do what is right. But a few of them still think that this thing, if it's not good for me, it's not good. And no one will help me to come out of it if I get in trouble. So there are still a few who takes that inner caution very seriously about what they do and not waiting for anybody to tell them what is right or wrong to do.
There's something I want to ask. It's, I know, well, being Christians, we understand the importance of marriage in terms of fulfilling the command to multiply and populate the earth. But there is also something, especially in the New Testament, where Paul said it is not for everyone to marry. But, if you can't hold yourself rather than burn, marry. I just want to ask, is it because something we see now, there is a lot of pressure on people to get married, especially on women. There is this pressure. There's always the talk of, your biological clock. It's, time is running out and there's lots of pressure. Is that something that, I don't know, would you say that's right? Or how do we address that? Does a woman specifically have to marry in order to find her self-worth? Or I'm trying to formulate the question in a way like, is it really compulsory?
Oh, well, if you look at it from the perspective of Apostle Paul, you used to make example, because when we want to look at this question, we have to look at it both culturally and from the biblical aspect of how it should work.
Yes.
I am from Apostle Paul's perspective, there was a story behind his reason for giving that caution, giving that advice, because of what is happening today. And probably that was exactly what was happening in Apostle Paul's time. And because he was talking to a community of believers, it's like see somebody who says, I'm a believer, I belongs to a Christian community, and see behaving like unbeliever, just flicking around, fornicating and the rest of it. That won't bring good name, both to that person, to the family, and the Christian community that person belongs. So Apostle Paul saw it as a taboo, that you can't be right and be wrong at the same time. That if you need some things that the body wants, it is rather you give it in the proper way than making it a sin to yourself. That was the perspective Apostle Paul was looking at it, that, yeah, you can still do it, but you have to do it right. But culturally, it is believed that the woman who is married, properly married to a man, is the one that has all the accolade, all the respects and everything that human beings deserve, as matured as they will be. But today, I think with the situation of so many things around so many families, it's making the younger ones to feel that marriage is a real problem, is entanglement. That when you marry, you are no longer free to do whatever you want to do. You are no longer able to do what you really want to do freely as a woman. That's not true. I will particularly make example with myself, if that's allowed.
Yes, of course.
I would say that I think a few weeks ago I actually brought it up with my husband and said, I thank God that I got married to you, that I can serve God freely. I can do whatever I want, and you just understand and support me. I think where the problem is that we have freedom. God has given us freedom, whether we are married or not. God has given us freedom to do some certain things, but it all depends on who the attachment is with. Marriage is supposed to be very sweet. Marriage is supposed to be a life that brings support and confidence. But when the one who knows or fears God now marries an unbeliever who does not want to know or hear anything about God, that's one entanglement. That's one problem. There's no way you will struggle to please that man to make him change his mind to say, oh, okay, let me serve God with you, or let me change. That's where the first problem is. It's not the marrying that is the problem. It's the person you are getting married to that is the problem.
Yeah.
Because God ordained marriage from the very beginning of life. If marriage was not important, God wouldn't have said, let us give Adam a helpmate. It was God who looked at Adam and said, no, this garden is too big for him. He will be lonely. God created room for marriage, first of all, for the purpose of loneliness. So that when the two come together, they become one, they reason together as one, they live together as one, they carry out, make decisions as one. But where that is not happening, it makes marriage very dangerous. So the way we see marriage today is not the way God created marriage. Marriage is not a contract. It's just like the relationship we have with God. It's not a contract. It's a relationship. It's genuine relationship. That's the way he created marriage. So for anybody to say, oh, I don't want to marry because of what the environment tells them or because of what they have seen others experience, it's no reason for not getting married, yet still continue to do what married people do. That's a great error. Marriage is unique. Everything God has given the liberty for those who are married to enjoy it. The ones who are not married today, who says it's not compulsory to be married and they sleep with men, they are offending God. God did not propose relationship of a man and a woman like that. His idea was that woman will join the man in order to be a support, a help, a good listener, and the one that we know easily identify what is going to go into error and just wedge it. If you remember the story of Abigail and David and Nabal, her husband, who was very wicked, it was because Nabal was married to the good girl, Abigail. That was what helped David not to kill him. So marriage is for support. But so many people don't understand the reason for marriage. Majority think that, oh, if I can just have sex every day, I am okay. Marriage is way, way beyond that. And so the ones who will say, it's not compulsory that I get married, don't really understand the reason for marriage. But if they say so, do they equally say, I have to stay without doing what a man and a woman does? If they can't do that, then they are making the worst mistake. That's what they should be enjoying in their marriage. Even if they have to open their door, people are looking at them. God has given them the permission to do it. Marriage, from the point of view of the Creator, God, the Father, it is compulsory. And it is good, both for the two who are marrying and their families, because it is without marriage or without the man and the woman coming together as partners, I'm not sure there will actually be existence of families. So if for example, a girl who is growing up says, oh, I saw how other girls that are married are suffering, I don't want to marry, I don't even want to sleep with her, is that girl will totally be changing the destiny of life that God has prepared for her. Perhaps God has prepared her to get married to a man, have children. One of those children will be the next president. If she refused to go into that marriage, she has changed that destiny. That is why we have to be cautious about the decisions we make when it comes to marrying.
Yeah, okay. I think that is a perfect segue into the question I was going to ask. Before marriage, how should a young woman, now a young woman who says, I am ready to get married, I think I'm at the right age, how should she prepare? Now, before you answer the question, there is a bit, I think there are two parts to the question. The second part to the question is this. In Ruth chapter 3, Naomi said to Ruth in Ruth chapter 3 from verse 2, said to Ruth to go to dress herself, put on perfume, anoint herself, and go to where Boaz is and wait until he has finished eating and drinking to lie next to where he lays down. Now, I think the whole idea is this is how to get yourself noticed. Now, if you know you are in the right place, how do you position? I mean, you are at the right age to get married. How do a young girl position herself to get married? What should she do in terms of preparing and also in terms of choosing who she is going to marry to? What should be her goals and expectations if necessary?
Okay. When it comes to preparation, there's a saying that charity begins at home. It has, first of all, to do with attitude. Because there are some people who are naturally very, will I say, quiet or reserved. And whatever they do, nobody really understands them.
Yes. Even
their families will complain. Nobody knows what she wants. Nobody knows what she's doing. Nobody. If anyone sees such a girl outside, and they may not know the kind of person she is. They will outrightly just judge her that this one, maybe they will say is arrogant, or two, they can say this one it must be a she devil because she does not relate with anyone. She's always quiet. There are some things that she will have to need to grow up with, relating with people. Not so loud, not too low. Because some men don't like loud women. Because there are some men that are very quiet. When the woman they want to marry is too loud, they will think she will be a problem to them. Sometimes it could be very good for a man to be quiet or a woman to be quiet, and they meet each other, because the loud one will support the quiet one. So both of them can be very quiet, to be very dangerous. And both of them should not be too loud, because they will not be able to listen to each other. So the girl can either be quiet, not too quiet. The girl should be able to communicate what she really wants and what she doesn't want. The girl should be able to know what she should be doing at the right time. For example, a girl who is always out, doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to support the family, will not suddenly change to become a good woman that will take care of the home when she's married. So she must learn all these things from home. Like, my mother is out. Maybe the mother goes to work, or the mother goes to has a shop or whatever. She has a time set that she will come back, maybe very late. And this girl is at home. She has finished from school. The lunch or dinner is not prepared and is waiting for the mother to come back to cook. When she gets to her home, she will not care about who is hungry because she didn't learn it from home. If such a girl only prepare food when she's hungry, when she gets to a husband's house, she will not remember that a husband will eat, because she will only feel like cooking or preparing their meal only when she's hungry. So a girl that wants to be a good woman, a good wife, must understand other people's situation, must put herself in other people's shoes, so that when she is not able to bear those things, she should know that whoever she's going to join herself with, we have the same problem as well. So such a girl too, because majority there are so many girls today that has affected them in their marriage, that they don't know how to cook, they don't know how to take care of their homes. And when they now get married and they now start having children, if there's no other person to help them, it becomes a disaster in the home. They will be fighting the husband over, because she will want the husband to be doing everything for her. So little chores and home care and caring for others, making others feel that I know your problem, I can support you with your problem, is a whole lot that a growing woman should learn. And another thing is that girl must be somebody not really loud in talking, not because he's talking loud. Must be careful with the friends that she make, because there are some girls out of error. They follow friends that will lead them into more error. Because there are some that want to learn things from their friends. They will not know that what they are learning from them is error. They will say, it's my friend, they won't see anything bad in what. So they have to, the one who wants to be a good young woman must check the kind of friends they make. Because those friends can either teach them how to be good in life or teach them how to destroy their life totally. So it's a part of a growing up before even getting into marriage. And before getting into marriage, this young lady can ask herself, how will I be of support to this man? Maybe she will want to bring herself up in a way that she will be able to secure herself and be able to be of strong support to the family when the need arises. The one who has opportunity to go to school and say, I will not go to school, and we want to go and marry another, a man who hasn't got a proper job, is prepared to suffer. But thank God, gone are the days that people used to say that a woman's life ends in the kitchen. So many women are becoming strong leaders today, anywhere. That does not deprive them of the joy of a good family. So women like that will be able to support the family. A growing up young woman should first of all secure herself educationally and home-wise. And in every aspect, they should always ask, if I do this now, what will it benefit me when I am on my own as a woman, as a mother, as a wife? So when that thought become the priority, that young lady will be able to say, I need a strong educational background. It can be a doctor, it can be a teacher, it can be whatever. But as long as she remembers that she's a wife, she's only going to be a support to the man, then she will know her level of, because some women go to the level of, I am a PhD holder. They will not think of respecting their husband again because they have the highest degree. No, that degree is only just to secure her as a wife, that no matter what will arise in case of the family-wise, that she will be able to, as a woman, support the family. That would be the reason for it, not because she wants to take the position of the man. Because the man has his position, the woman has his position. When God created Adam, he gave Adam the authority to do everything in the garden. He only created Eve to be a support. Because Eve did not understand what kind of support God really wanted her to give to Adam, she exposed herself to what the devil did. She was the one who exposed the whole family to what the devil did. And that's what everybody is suffering to today. So everything about the young girl before getting into marriage determines how good the family will look like when she joins herself with a man.
Yeah. Okay. I think the second part, you've covered my question about roles in marriage, so during the marriage, but I think we'll still come to that bit. Yeah. But the second part to that question, the preparation bit before marriage is how should a young woman choose a man? You know, people would always ask the question, what are you looking for in the ideal man? And there are a lot of people who come up with random answers about the sort of money he should be making and the sort of house he should have, but things like that. My question is, what are the really important things that a young woman looking to marry should look for in the man that she wants to marry?
Okay. I think the very basic answer is a young woman who wants to go into a marriage should not look at the height, the size, the handsomeness of the man. It should look at that man, whether he's a caring man. A caring man. And what is the background of this young man? Because if the young man is from a home where fight is the order of the day, no matter how rich that young man will look like, he will still beat that woman. But if that man was brought up with a caring spirit, whether it's much, whether it's little, he's caring, that's the greatest priority. Because there are some men that will have money. They can give the woman money, but they will not care for them. When the woman wants to get close, they will say, I don't have, look, can't you see I'm busy? But the one who cares, whether he has or he doesn't have, will always make himself available. We always support the woman. We always respect it. We always listen. We always share ideas. That's the greatest gold that any woman should ask for, should look for. Because I have seen example of a man who, when he was trying to marry this young girl, we do everything. We get close to the family, do everything, support them. As soon as they got married, he reversed everything. It's the woman that will do everything. It's the woman that will, in fact, basically everything is the woman. If the woman is trying to let him know that this thing is like this thing is not going well, he will just begin to scream at her like, I didn't really want you in the first place. The woman must know genuinely whom this man is, his background and everything. You must know, you must understand the background, because otherwise there are fake love. When some men want some women, they will do even when the woman is doing the worst thing, they will just accommodate it until they get to them. They should make sure they understand this man. They should not rush courtship. The reason for courtship actually is because of knowing each other genuinely, understanding each other before they now decide, okay, we have studied each other. We are now sure that we can marry. If a woman becomes so desperate to put her hand into any man's hand, it would have been better she's not married, because when she will now begin to realize that this man was not the right person for me, it will be too late. So that's woman must know the family of the man. Because some men will say, "Oh, I don't have a family." Because I have actually seen a young man, who already have a wife, have 2 children.
Wow.
And because of his kind of look, his stature, he deceived this young lady that he wanted to finish everything he want to do in life and settle down properly. That was why he was not married yet.
Oh, wow.
After 2 years they were married, this man suddenly came out with stories, and it was too late for this woman to go back. She didn't know what else to do. And she was a Christian. She didn't really want to be a divorcee or something, and it became a real problem. So no matter how desperate a young woman will be, you should make these 2 things strongly, seriously available to herself, that that man must be a caring man. She should try that man in so many ways. Which one of the ways she needs to try the man is asking him about his past. If he cannot tell him his past, then he's not ready, because some other things can be hidden as well.
Yes.
They should be able to tell each other their rotten past, no matter how terrible it is. After telling that man and telling the woman telling the man telling the woman their rotten past, and they still find reasons to love each other, then you know that marriage will work properly. If the man says, you did this and you did that, no, you can't be my wife. Let that woman, no matter how much she's thinking she loved that man, let her withdraw, because anything beyond that will be built on that story that was pending. So she must make sure that man is genuine enough to accommodate her rotten past.
Oh yes, I have seen an example of a friend who the husband was always using the past that she told him against her when they got married. And the question that kept coming up is, did you not know that this guy that he has this sort of behavior before you married him? Or I don't know, if he's always using your past against you, then that definitely is a problem. Something I want you to expand on a little bit, though, is the background thing. For example, with the story about Naomi and Ruth, which I read earlier. Before Naomi gave Ruth the advice to go to Boaz, one thing she said in chapter 1 was it was her duty to look for a good man for Ruth. I know in Africa, and not just in Africa, and also some places, some families will say, hey, we need to investigate the family of this guy. We need to know who this person is. And then we can then say, this guy is good for you, or this guy's not good for you. And now a lot of good has come from that, but there were also some cases where people have said, oh, I didn't really like the man, but it was an arranged marriage, the family and all of that. Looking at in terms of balancing things out. I don't necessarily think that the family being involved and looking at the background of the man is a bad thing. But how do we balance that out to make sure that the 2 people getting married, because the 2 people getting married are the ones who are going to live together. So how do we balance that out? But also in terms of looking at the background to make sure that this person is good, this person is God-fearing, and yes.
Yeah, if you look at it from the story of Ruth you started with, with the situation that happened to Naomi and Ruth, Naomi was able to prove Ruth to the extent that the Boaz we're talking about was from Naomi's family.
Yes.
she knew all of them before she left the family for where she was returning from.
Yes.
And culturally, Boaz was not the one that was supposed to get Ruth. But the one who was supposed to knew he was not capable. The Jewish culture then was obvious and open to every one of them. So there was no room for deception. The man who was supposed to marry Ruth knew that he was not capable of taking care of the kind of person Ruth was. That was why he withdrew. He knew that if he had accepted Ruth, he will not be able to meet up with the qualities that Ruth had. So, and with Boaz being a rich man in the family and very caring, like I said before, Naomi knew that it was only Boaz that would be able to actually take care of Ruth so that she will not remember her late husband.
Yeah.
And Boaz was a very sensitive man as well because of the position he was occupying and his resources. So I think culturally to them as well, they understood the way a woman can approach a man. And Ruth didn't understand all those things. So the mother-in-law knew all those. So that was why she prepared her towards Boaz. Yeah. And that only happened because of the close relationship they had. And then I didn't actually add that to my other explanation about what the woman will have to. The reason for checking into the family of the boy, family of the girl as well is very important. Is that, for example, if Naomi and her husband were bad, Naomi could have simply accused those young women that they are the ones who killed their husbands, which could happen in some families. And they will begin to torture the innocent women for no reason. Because Naomi was, that family was a good family. Naomi, she wanted them, but because she like she said, she doesn't have any other child that they will get married to. So a girl who wants to go into a family should not look at money and whatever they have. It should look at the relationship that is knitting that family together. Because, for example, if the girl chooses to marry that boy and the family doesn't like her and the family, they are not ready to accept her, no matter how happy the boy will make her to be, if she's having problem with the family, with the boy's family, she will still not enjoy that marriage. Maybe she got married to the boy because culturally they expect that, you have to have children. This, even when maybe the husband and wife will say, we have children, but not now. Let's do something so that when children start coming, we'll be able to have resources to look after them. The family will become a problem. That family will determine again as a support how peaceful the marriage between that girl and their son will look like. It can be with the daughter and the son as well. Because if a family is the one who are always on demand, everything is bring, for example. You have just got him, you are married to my son for how many years now? No children, this one creating problem here and there. You people are too close. A husband and a wife should be close to each other. But some families don't like it. They rather want their daughter to be close to them or their son to be close to them. But in case of Naomi, for example, because she was a good mother-in-law, that was why Ruth said, wherever you go, I will go. If that woman was terrifying her, when the son died, she will not need to tell her to go before she will pack her things and leave. So The reason for checking the family is whether there is love in that family, within the family, including the one that the woman is coming to join.
Yeah.
Because a girl who will leave her family where she's loved, where she's cared for, suddenly enter into a family where rancor is the story of the day. It will be difficult for her to be able to live in that family. So by the time the families find out, it helps. It really helps a great deal. In those days, women don't look for husbands for themselves. The families do the bargaining and the rest of it. And it has helped so many. So many. Even until now, it still happens, but the young people does not like it like that. And that is why you see so many marriages not working, because majority could have been based on deception. And if that's finding out, that investigation was carried out, there could be one thing or the other that the families will need to discuss that, this is what we discovered. Will you be able to put up with this? Will you be able to resolve this? So when it comes to the family of the boy or the girl, they should be able to accept each other. The boy should find peace when he's going to the wife's family. And the woman should feel comfortable being in the boy's family. That is one of the major reasons why they have to investigate. If, for example, the girl is coming from a home where they steal, for example, everybody steal everybody. She may not be stealing, but there is always this knowledge kind of
the family
transfer,
pattern.
Yes, transfer of spirits. So the any of the children could start stealing. They will say, where did he get this from? It could be from, if that wasn't known to them, it could be a problem. So that's why it is important. Is a very important activity to carry out. Just like we will say, okay, I think now is becoming a part of the marriage system that when a girl wants to marry a boy, they will have to do blood test. Because they wouldn't want to have children and become children that will become problem to them. For example, if the boy is AS and the girl is AS, definitely whatever will happen will be obvious, because they definitely will have a child who will be sickle cell, SS, sickle cell, have sickle cell anemia, which will be a problem in the future. So I would say, although I'm a pastor, I see by that idea that when a girl is mature enough to marry, it should be a part of, because the girl is not going to plan to marry today and get divorced tomorrow. It should be proper to ensure that everything is taken care of before that marriage is consummated. Like checking the background and checking the blood and whatever they need to check. It should be an agreement between the girl and the boy. Let's do all this checking. We love each other. We don't want to have problem in the future. Let's just do all these things. It should be an agreement, and that would be a wonderful help to them if they do.
Okay. I want to move to during marriage. So this young woman is married. Now, hopefully she's prepared herself correctly. She's married to the right person. I'm going to ask this question in two different scenarios. Now, the first scenario is she's married to the right man. She's married, say she has done everything correctly, and she's married to the right man. As a wise woman, how best can she manage her relationship with her husband in terms of looking at the biblical structure of marriage, the man being the head with vision and the direction, and the woman being the helpmate in terms of helping to achieve this vision and the direction? How does she, say if she's done it correctly, married to the right person, how does she manage that relationship with the husband? And on the flip side, if she hasn't done it correctly, say she married the wrong person, considering that she is a wise woman in a marriage that is to a certain degree troublesome. How can she manage the relationship with the husband?
Okay, first of all, we're going to look at it from two perspectives. One, we're going to look at it whether both of them are believers. If they are believers, I would say it will be much easier. Much easier in the sense that the word of God will be their guardian, because the woman should be able to read from the book of Ephesians that tells us that a woman submits to her husband, and the husband must love the wife. So if they are, first of all, generally, marriage has no magic to perform everything well. It has to go through step-by-step learning of each other. Because if a woman is married to, whether it's a Christian or a non-Christian, for example, if is married to a man who is always getting angry over everything, that woman should see that aspect of the man as his weak point. So if he's a Christian woman, for example, the very first support that she will be giving to that man is to be praying for him, telling God, this is my husband's weak point. Please help him. There's nothing God cannot change. Nothing. Because there are people who are very aggressive, but as soon as they know the word of God, God begins to teach them things that will help them to overcome that aggression. And I have seen so many people that have changed in that wise. And the woman must understand too what makes the man get angry easily. Why the man will get angry easily. And her response should not be immediate, because when the man is angry, you want to say, oh, I know what I'm talking about. I'm right here. I will not keep quiet. It's not going to stop the problem. It's only going to aggravate it. So rather than responding immediately, the woman should be quiet. The woman should be patient enough to let him calm down. And later, she can bring it up again. Then they discuss it like normal kind of discussion. So the biggest support is to be praying for the man, not in his presence. Because I have seen some women, when there is a problem, instead of sitting down to discuss it, have a real conversation about the situation, they take it to prayer in the man's presence, so that they will want to tell the man, I am praying for you. This is whom you are. This is, I'm praying for you. I will cast that demon out of you. God, whatever this man, they will be mentioning those things that they had row about. It will not help. Rather, it creates a different problem. Instead, the woman can begin to pray quietly for the man. And when, like I said, when the man is much calmer, he can just want to say, but that's not really what I meant. This is how they discuss it. If the man still wouldn't want to listen and he's still taking it the other way around, let it go and just begin to pray about it. And the woman, because God has given a woman in the house so many responsibility that he has not given to the man. That is why most of the time, any man who does not listen to the wife is making the biggest mistake. Because the day that woman came into that house, that's the day she became a nurse. That's the day she became a carer. Because the first nurse, the first patient she will nurse is her husband. Her husband will eat. Her husband is happy. Her husband is not happy. Why is he not happy? Her husband's clothes are clean. They are not clean. I have to clean them. Everything. If the money coming in is not enough to meet all the needs, it's the woman's responsibility to be able to, let's arrange this thing the way it should be happening. Let's do this thing. Any woman who does not have that is not helping the family as a woman in the house. The woman should know that there is food in the house. My husband bring money. If the man is the one bringing money, I need to buy food. This. They discuss it. They bring the money. She gets the food into the house. It's not the man's. If the man is helping, it's fine. But it's not a man's responsibility. It's the woman's responsibility. If children are now there, it's the woman's sole responsibility. I think what God has actually created the man for is to provide. So whatever happens in the family is the woman's responsibility. And as she's carrying out those responsibilities and the man chooses to support her because they are one, that will even make the whole thing much more easy and everybody will be happy. But the woman is the one who takes care of her home. If you look at what the book of Proverbs chapter 31 explain about the good woman, the virtuous woman. It tells us everything she does. They didn't mention the husband where he was doing this, doing that. But that doesn't mean the husband was not helping. But just to project what the woman's responsibilities are. That was what happened in that part of Proverbs. So the woman has a lot of responsibility to make the house stand. The woman must not carry her matter to a friend to discuss. It kills the morale of the family. Because there are some friends who may be envious of that woman's home. She may not know. When she discusses her marriage, her family with friends, she's killing that home. Whatever happens with the husband and the wife, it should be discussed amongst them, between the two of them. It should not be carried to anyone else, because the answers that will come from someone else might just kill the settlements they would have done simply and easily between themselves. So it is very dangerous. And it is equally very dangerous too for the woman to hide or to keep secret from the husband. Because some men are very sensitive. Some men can be very suspicious. Some men can be very jealous. And so many. So that is why continuous open communication is very important. I remember a story of somebody who the husband traveled and the woman was in her country. And the husband bought some clothes and sent to her. And she wore one of those clothes. And this man's friend called the man and said, you are abroad. You left your young wife like this. He said, if you leave your wife again for another 2 years, another man will just take over her life. He said, wow. What do you mean? What dress was she wearing? He described the dress. And the man was laughing. He said, was it not the bag I gave to you to give to her? I bought that dress for her because I trust my wife. I know what she's capable of doing. I know what she will not do. That my wife is wearing that dress does not mean she's a loose woman or she will do anything funny. The man was shocked. So there should be a solid trust between the two. And communication will lead to that. When the woman says, I didn't do this, or the man says, this is what I did not do this, they should be able to trust each other. It cements the strength of that marriage. If a man is suspecting the wife, the woman is suspecting the husband, easily break the relationship. Because trust has a big role to play between a husband and a wife. There must be trust.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. So that's covered a lot of things. I was going to ask about intimacy and communication and the conflict management, but I think that's covered a lot of that. So I'm just going to ask, are women's? I think you've spoken about the friends as well in terms of how to manage friends and friends during marriage. I want to ask quickly about children. So the dynamic when it's just a man and a wife is different from when children are involved. I want to ask in terms of how to manage that. In terms of balancing the relationship with the husband and also the relationship with the children to create harmony. How best to manage that?
Okay, that's a very good question because so many families have gone into so much trouble with all that. Some men will complain, oh, when I got married to my wife, we were very close, we were doing everything well together. As soon as the baby came, I became the odd man out. I will advise that before the child, the husband was already available as the child. So children should not break the relationship between a man and the wife. Rather, it should even actually make them get closer to the point that the child, as she or he is growing up, we say, I know that my daddy can't do without my mommy can't do without my daddy, because they will both begin to nurture that child together. If the woman is carrying the child, maybe she's preparing the family meal and the child is crying, the husband should take care of that child. Is his child as well. It should not be that, oh, bring my child. It doesn't matter if I'm cooking. Because if it happens like that, that child will only be stuck with the mother and never give any concern about, this is my daddy too, he loves me. And as long as that child is stuck with the mother, is breaking the relationship with the father to the mother as well. So it should be that this is me and my wife. We were already here before children start coming. So the woman must know the time to give the man's attention to him and the child's attention. And the man has the same attention to share with the wife and the child as well. So when they both agree on that, that child will grow up well to respect daddy and mommy's relationship. And when it comes to managing the children as well as they grow, there are some mistakes women make that because they are the ones who carried the child in their womb for a number of months and then gave birth to the child, they experienced the pain and whatever. Women always almost think that the children are for them more than their father. No. So when the need arises for children to be corrected, you see some mothers say, no, leave my child. Please don't correct my child like that. But they have forgotten that child came from the dad before it gets to the mom. When it is time to correct a child, it should be a blunt and blank correction. There should not be, oh, daddy is rebuking the child and mommy is rejecting the rebuke or supporting the child. It should be, you have done wrong. Nobody will support you. We have to correct you. When the child knows that, because it has created so many rancor in the family, that when maybe is the father that loves the child so much, that when the mother is trying to correct him, say, what is it? What has this child done? Leave him, leave her alone. And that child might be young, but he's learning. It could be vice versa. It could be the mother saying, leave my daughter, leave my son, leave my daughter alone. If they have done anything, let me correct them by myself. It will make that child not to be respecting the father. Particularly when that response is being given in presence of that child. As young as the child may be, the child might even just be a year old or 2 years old or 5 years old. Whatever you say in their presence, so the parents say in their presence to each other is stamped in their head. It makes them to take other decisions as well. Because the child will probably say, I know if I was talking to my mother now, she will not respond the way you are responding to me. I know you really don't like me. Or maybe you say, until daddy comes, I'm not just going to say anything because it's daddy that is taking sides. When it comes to correction, let it be a standard correction, both from daddy and mommy. If daddy is the one correcting a child, the mommy, the child goes to the mommy, my daddy will say, shh. If you have done well, daddy will not correct you like that. The child will know that when there is correction, nobody will support me. So when it comes to taking care of them too, as the way they grow, thank God that so many people are beginning to understand that a child that is left to himself will bring, the Bible says in the book of Proverbs that child will bring shame to the mother, not even to the father. The Bible says to the mother. So a majority of the families are beginning to understand that children play all these games to begin to run to the one that will be softer when situation arises. So they are beginning to learn to join hands to take care of the child. Look at children on the street. If you ask them, majority of the questions, the stories they will tell you is because of their parents. My mother did this. My daddy did not do this. That is why a father and a mother must agree on how to handle these children, how to bring them up. I know a family where the father will say, whatever food is available at home, let everybody eat. Whoever that will not eat it should not eat. He should go and sleep like that. The mother will say, no, my child cannot go and sleep like that. Maybe everybody has eaten. The mother will give the child money, go and buy chicken and chips. Is it not chicken and chips you want? As that child is growing, the mother might think is taking good care of that child, is showing more love. Time is coming when the child will begin to take some decisions and begin to ignore all the decisions the families have taken and begin to take their own decision well above the family decision. And then the one who had been taking sides with that child will now begin to struggle to correct that child. So when it comes to nurturing children, it should be a standard agreement to how we will nurture these children. Let's correct them this way. When this correction does not work, there should be an agreement on what best they should do together to be able to make that correction happen. It should not be this one going to the right, the other one taking the answer to the left. It will destroy the nurture of those children.
So I want to ask two more questions about this stage of being in marriage. One is how best to manage the relationship with in-laws now as a woman in the marriage, because for some in-laws, they are very much, we are involved, we are fully involved. For some in-laws, they're like, you know what, we'll leave you alone to, just run your home and everything. For some in-laws, they want to determine how the little details happen in the home. Now, considering in Genesis, where God said a man would leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife.
Yeah.
How best should a woman now, if she's dealing with in-laws that they want to be completely involved, and maybe there is a situation where now this involvement is even causing problems for the marriage. How best to handle that, and in terms of boundaries, and just to manage the whole situation.
Yeah, I think first of all, it depends on what family both are from. Like, for example, if they are both from Christian families, I think when I mean Christian, because there are still some Christian parents who even become more problem to their children. But I mean genuine Christians who know what the Bible say about marriage, like you have just quoted, that a man will leave the family, the father and mother, and join to the wife. When it comes to living, truly speaking, it's not like it's abandoning the family, but it has a different responsibility here to face, to handle. That's what it means. When it comes to the families who want to interfere in their children's marriage, basically it will be obvious that it will create a lot of problem. And that is why when the two are courting, they are just meeting each other, trying to learn about each other from the beginning. They should be able to open up to each other, to let each other know the family they are coming from. Because, for example, the woman that is coming from a good home where everyone respects everyone supports everyone, will want to enter into a family where is the father-in-law and mother-in-law that controls everything about their children, we struggle in that marriage. So when they are courting, when they are still trying to learn about each other, not gone into the marriage yet, they need to make everything known to each other. That is the starting point. They need to say, my mother, like the boy, because the woman is coming into the man's life. My mother is in this area. She's very good though, but in this area, because when the woman already knows some things, when they are happening, it will no longer be of a surprise to her. She will now begin to look for a way to accommodate that situation. But I do know that there are some situations you cannot just continue to keep quiet about. It is at that point that the man will have to learn to support the wife. It's not going to be quarrel. It can be maybe tell the wife, don't worry, whatever is happening, just leave it for me. Because at some point, some women will think, oh, this situation, I don't like the way my husband is handling it. It's not helping. It's supporting the family. It's supporting the family against me. So that may not actually be the situation. The man might just be being very careful not to think that he's dealing with the parents because of the wife. That could be a different problem as well. So what they need to do is the man and the wife need to understand each other. That when this happens, this is how we are going to approach it. They should understand it in their own way. That when mommy comes and she's just talking, be patient. Don't say anything. Just let me. If he's the man's father, for example, you will tell, because he's the one that will be able to talk to the parents better than the woman talking. It will look like she's being rude to them, even when she will not say rude things. So if the man is the one say, "Mommy, my wife is not a baby. Why are you treating her like that? Whatever you want, say it to her with patience and with love." I know some parents will not listen. They will say, "Oh, you are putting me down for your wife." It may look like that, but when it comes to a situation like that, you have to defend your wife. The man had to defend his wife, because he will be the only one that will be able to carry that problem on board. If the wife's family member comes to say anything about it, it's a different ball game. It's a different problem. So it's the man. If it's the woman if it's the woman's family who are becoming hard on the way the man should be able to defend the wife too should be able to defend and stand for the husband. That's the way it will work. And it will be very wrong if any of the parents are getting hard on it could be the woman, it could be the man, and the other one is now blaming it on the spouse. That would be very wrong. It would be very wrong. It should be a situation where both of them will just stick together and say, let's exercise patience on this matter. As long as you are on my side, we don't have problem. Daddy and mommy will soon, if it's being done when any of them visit, daddy and mommy will soon go. Don't worry, just be patient. Then they will be able to support each other. They will be able to understand that it's not really their problem. It's the problem of the one who is creating problem for them. But instead of saying, oh, just talk to your mom, just talk to your dad, that will create a different problem. Let's those two encourage each other. We are in this together. Let's just be patient. It will soon be over. They should not blame each other over the problem somebody else is creating for them. If they handle it like that, they will be able to always overcome.
Yes. Okay. Before we move from this bit, I just want to emphasize. I know you've talked about it before, but I just want to emphasize a bit more about the communication.
Okay.
Communication between the wife and the husband, and that how important that is in terms of building the home.
Okay. Yeah. Communication generally is very important. And when it comes to home building, it has to cover everything. Like, for example, if they are newlywed, for example, the woman is just coming into the house. She has so many things to learn. If she doesn't ask questions and just assume that the man will come and begin to explain everything, that will not be good enough. Whatever she doesn't understand, she needs to ask because she's new to that home. Whatever she wants done because she's now becoming the mother of the house and she's responsible for everything. Whatever she wants happening in that house should be discussed, should be communicated to the husband, and not just keeping things. And when something has gone wrong, before he starts saying, hey, I know this should have happened. I know this will happen. It should not be like that. When things are going well, the man and the wife should talk to each other and praise each other for what is going well. If there are some concerns in some areas, it should be discussed. Have you noticed this? Can we do it like this? Or why did we do it like this? Okay, it's fine. Shall we do it like this now to make it better? Continuous communication. And I think there are some experiences I have had that people just take as a problem. For example, if a man goes out, for example, and is taking time, is taking long, maybe unnecessarily staying too long, not the wife we expect, or it could be the other way around, it could be the man, it could be the wife. He can call, hello, darling, where are you? What are you doing? It's a part of the communication. That will simply make the man understand my wife still cares about me. She knows, she wants to know what is happening to me or around me. She cares. But do you know some men don't like it? They will say the woman is monitoring them, or it could be the woman. They will say the man is monitoring them. It's a part of communication. If anything happened outside, no matter how terrible it is, your best, or the man or the woman's best friend should be the man or the woman and discuss everything with them. That brings them closer. Maybe the way something happened, the way the man reacted or the way the woman reacted, when he explained it to them, we say, oh, you did well. Or, maybe you should have done it like the next time, just do like this. Maybe next time, keep quiet, don't say anything. So when such communications start happening, by the time something is happening, maybe one of them is not there, you will say, what will my husband or what will my wife would have advised me about this situation? They will remember. So they will now know how to respond or react to that situation. That will come because of the communication they have had. So because communication actually bring much more understanding. Because, for example, if things already happened that were not discussed, and then it becomes a big error, blame will start. And blaming each other can create a different problem. That is why whatever a man wants to do, this is what I want to do. What do you think? What is your advice? Or the woman want to do, this is what I want to do. How should we do it? That does not mean the man doesn't know what to do. That does not mean the man is selling his headship to the woman. That does not mean the woman doesn't know what to do. It's just becoming the husband's house girl that he will advise before he carry. No, it's communication. Because when anything problem arises from the action the other person, any of the person we take, it will affect both. So when it is communicated and everybody brings their suggestion, whatever happened, they will know that they have tried their best. They discussed it and something still didn't go well. And then there will be no room for blame at that point. That is the reason communication will be very important. Very important. And as much communication that the man and the wife has, we actually give them the opportunity, like the last question we answered, we give them the opportunity to know how to deal with situations that will arise quickly. Because when it comes to family interfering in marriage, it's very sensitive. It's either you are responding well or you respond in error. It will create a different problem. But where there is always communication, you will know, the way my husband is responding or the way my wife is responding, I know it's genuine. It's for our own good. So I won't even get angry. So it helps them to understand each other better.
Fine, thank you so very much. Now, the last bit I want to ask about is after marriage. Now, what I mean by after marriage is, sadly, for some people, their spouse, for some women, their spouse can maybe die early while they're still young. For some people, it's different. The spouse can die at a very old age. How should a woman, in the different situations, whether young or old, how should a woman manage herself if this is the case?
Okay. If that aspect of life is very sensitive in the sense that there are some situations where the determining factor does not lie in the hands of the spouse. For example, if it's a man that dies and they are not believers, for example, they will want that woman to pass through all their cultural exercises that will make her feel to continue to remain with them as their son's wife, even though the man is dead. And then there are situations where the man dies, the family, because they have the understanding that marriage is between the woman and the man, they will just maybe ask the woman, what do you want to do? And I think that would be much easier for the woman. But in a situation where the family are the ones who determines what happened, particularly when they are not believers, I I will say that it will be up to the woman to determine what she wants to do. Like in the culture where we come from, for example, it is like it's compulsory that the woman had to again get married to someone in the family to be able to be a part of the family again if she has children, so that she will be able to get close to her children and be able to eat the children's food. When things happen like that, if they are unbelievers, the woman may not necessarily have a choice but to obey what the family we tell her, because she's fully a part of them. But if she, even though she might be an unbeliever, if she wants to choose to leave, it will be better for her to leave if she chooses to leave. But culturally speaking, then her children will not be able to have anything to do with her. But when it comes to those who believe, who are believers, they know that God is the one who takes, God is the one who gives. I think if they choose to maybe look at the side of the culture, because it may not be every member of the family that is a believer, she has the right to tell them she's a believer, and if she doesn't want to get married again, she has the right to say no. But because, let's look at it from the perspective of a young woman, if she wants to marry, if she wants to remarry, and not to any member of that family, she should straight away make it clear. She should not get involved with whatever they suggest to her first, and obey some and disobey some before leaving, because that could affect her children as well if she has children in that family. If she chooses to remarry, that marriage must not be with a man who already have a wife. For example, the woman is young, and a man who has a wife, because he's rich or whatever, the woman, so because my husband is dead, I am no longer bound to him. It's no longer a sin for me to get married. There are still laws that are guiding the kind of marriage she can attach herself to again. She must be married to someone who is alone. It could be someone who lost the wife as well. It could be someone who hasn't even really got married before. But she must be careful who this marriage is with, because Bible does not permit her to get married to someone who still have a wife. And then the one who is old, for example. Anyway, majority of people who are old will not begin to look for other husbands. But if they do, if they still want to, like the young women, they will have to be careful about the man they will attach themselves to, or the woman they will attach themselves to. Because some women will want to marry a man who lost the wife and leave their own husband, because they divorced their own husband. Because they divorce, they can't marry that man who is whose wife was dead. It's the same thing. It's vice versa. Just as it is with the woman, so it is with the man as well. So the man can marry a girl who hasn't married before, or marry a widow as well who lost her husband. They are free to get. If they don't want to marry, nobody can force them to marry anybody. They particularly when they are serving God, they have the right to say, no, I am not going to do this, even when they are under pressure of culture that they have to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I want to thank you so very much for the session tonight. Before we go, I just want to ask. You have been married for a long time. Expectations. There were certain expectations people have of marriages compared to the reality. Are these expectations that people have of marriages, are they necessarily true or not true? Or there are some that you'd say yes in terms of the reality of marriage? Where does the two cross, the expectations and the reality? Or if they don't, then what is the difference?
Yeah, well, generally as human beings, we always want to raise high expectations. And so many people, through those expectations, they have made so many mistakes that they will never forget all their life. For example, I know a young man who was always telling himself he's going to marry a very fair-looking lady with her teeth separated, the upper teeth arranged in a way that is separated, so that when she smiles, she will look more beautiful. Yeah. She lived his life he was nearly 45. He was still looking for such woman. And by the time he now decided, let me just choose any woman that is good, women were now running away from him because he was now getting too old. So there are some expectations that can put people in bondage. We are all born to have expectations, but it should be expectations that are good and flexible. Like, for example, if a woman says, I will not marry a man that is struggling. I will not marry a man who is just managing. I want to marry a rich man who can buy cars and everything I need for me. That may not really be what God wants her to be. Because I equally have seen somebody who got married. The young man was just a barber, and the girl had just finished her secondary education, and the young man met her in a hair salon, and the young man told her asked her if she would marry him, and the lady was asking her, "What do you have? What do you have? A house? Do you have a car? Do you have?" He said, "I will not lie to you. I'm just a barber. I barb hair, and that's where I get my money from." The girl said, "Because you have told me the truth, I will marry you." And they got married. And this boy was not just a barber, he was a graduate. But because he couldn't find the kind of job he was looking for, he decided to be doing that barbering job. And as soon as they got married, it wasn't quite 6 months they got married. This girl went to visit the husband in the barbering salon, and there was this lady that met her there, came to barb the son's hair, and they knew each other a long time. The barber's wife and the other lady, they knew each other but she hasn't seen her since she got married. So she was, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, this is my husband." "Oh." He said, "Your husband, he's done something." They were discussing. And then all of a sudden he said, Why is he barbing? The man, no, he said, "Oh, you mean you are married to a barber?" They were laughing. He was making jokes. And the man just said, "I'm not just a barber. I'm a graduate. I studied this and this. Because I am not somebody who like to be idle. That's why I'm doing this." He said, "You mean you are this? You are an accountant?" He said, "Okay." He now gave her husband's card to him. He said, Go and see my husband. Maybe he'll be able to help you." That was how the man got the job of an accountant in the husband's company. If that girl has simply said, "No, I will marry a rich man, I will do this," From that day on, that barbing salon was still going on. They were still using it, but he was working as an accountant. And all of a sudden, the car and the house that she was asking for, they got everything in a short while. Because the girl didn't really know whom that boy was. She knew him just as an ordinary barber. So when it comes to expectation, the best way to set our expectation is asking it from God. What do you want for me? How do you want me to live my life? If I have to choose a life partner, Father, choose for me. That would be the best thing. Because there are some people others will be looking at as will be the best for them, can be a very big mistake. A very big mistake. Like I said from the very beginning, it is not how handsome, how rich a man is or a woman is, how beautiful a woman is. It is her character, her caring attitude, his caring attitude that is the number one choice of making the good choice of a man. Because the man who you think is handsome, he has money, he's rich, can be a nuisance when in reality can be a nightmare. So when it comes to expectation, let it be the one that comes from God. We can decide this is what we want, but when we present it to God, when we ask God to help us to determine and decide what is best for us, I think that would be the best way our expectation can be carried out and be fulfilled.
Well, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for that. It's been a real pleasure having you on the podcast tonight, and I look forward to inviting you again to discuss other issues.
No problem.
A big thank you to everyone who's tuned in to listen to today's episode. My guest has been Pastor Helen, a trained behavioral therapist, a pastor, and my mom. Now remember, if you found value in today's episode, like, share, and subscribe. Share it with others. Let's help one another grow. As usual, you can send all questions to hometruths@aol.com or use the contact us page on my website, www.hometruths.weebly.com. That is www.hometruths.weebly.com. You will also find the latest blogs covering topics like this and more on there. Once again, thank you. You have been listening to I Am a Christian podcast. I am Mohis.